Just a short walk from Trento's main station is the little station of Trento FTM, built to service the narrow gauge route to Mezzana. There are two separate stations because this line is actually run by the local government of Trentino, and that is very good news for me, as you'll hear later. And when I say short walk, I really do mean that. Look, we're actually at the end of one of the mainline platforms. I'll be doing the first leg of this trip in one of these ETI 400 units. As we enter this low floor unit, you can see there is an accessible area and indeed an accessible toilet. But I think I'll step up here where I'll get a better view from the higher seats. Now I say first leg because the central section of the trip is going to be on a rail replacement bus. So as I settle into my seat, let's look at this first leg. This narrow gauge line is mostly single track throughout with passing places. It starts off alongside the main line before making detours to enable local people to make their commute into Trento or connect with those mainline services. At Mezzana, the line turns northwest to follow the valley of the Torrente Nozze. But we'll all have to get out of the train at Mezzalombardo for a bus to avoid the engineering works that are further up the line. Off we go northbound beside the main line, where we'll make our first couple of stops in Trento's commercial district. And so after a while we peel away from the main line for that little diversion into Trento's northern suburbs. After a couple of stops we swing around to cross the Torrente Avizio before going underneath the town of Lavis. The line is double-tracked between Lavis and Zambana, so it's no surprise that we meet a southbound train at Zambana. By the way, this section of the line is underground because the 1960s refurbishment of the line pushed it underground, as originally it was a tramway along the street. And now our little line pops out again following its big brother northbound. And then the lines separate once more in order to cross the river using their own dedicated bridges. And now we've crossed over the river and over the main line, we can get a good view of the valley that we'll be heading up on the bus. At Trento Ferrovia, you can effectively make a cross-platform change to the mainline trains. Okay, so we're arriving into Mezzalombardo, and I'm not sure what the process is. But as these engineering works have been going on for some time, I do expect the locals will all know where to go. And yes, once we get outside the station, there's a bus that's clearly marked for Cles. And so for stage 2 of the trip, the road will stay pretty close to the route of the train. So I think you can safely say that what we see today would be a fair approximation of the train journey. Now, there's more intermediate stops than the 4 I've shown, but I think you get the idea. So, let's go! The line and this road will now climb the valley of the Torrente Nozze. So, whilst Johnny gazes out of the bus window, let's have a talk about the history of this line. It was inaugurated in 1909 when the Trentino was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. At that time the line only ran as far as Malé and was then known as the Trento Malé Tramway, as indeed there was some street running sections. By 1955 a project was approved to convert the tramway into a proper railway. And by 1960 the line from Trento to Cles was reopened as a railway, and the railway finally extended to Malé again in 1961. During this time the railway also transitioned from 800 volt DC power to the 3000 volts that matches the mainline electrification. Further investment led to the line being extended to Marialeva in 2003 and finally to Mezzana in 2016, giving a total line length currently of 65 kilometres or about 40 miles. And over that distance the line will lift passengers to a height of 900 metres above sea level. Now, when running end to end without the bus interlude, the trains are timetabled to take around 2 hours to complete the whole journey. At Dermelo there is much evidence of the relaying of the track, and don't those meter gauge sleepers look so tiny? Well, we're now a fair way through our bus trip. The driver just has to now turn back to make a pass of Tassulo station, where it looks like they're storing buses for running this service. Oh, and the only action here appears to be the work that they're doing on the line. Still, this little diversion is worth it to see the wonderful railway bridge over the gorge. And then, as we turn on towards Cles, we also get our first look at the Santa Giustina Lake, which is formed by the dam within the gorge. Cles looks to be an interesting place to visit and is quite a large town. Indeed, many of the travellers on the bus do not swap to the awaiting train at the station, as their journey will end here. Anyway, transfer from bus to train could not be easier, and a few stragglers like me make the short walk. And then we enter the train through the welcoming open doors on the platform. And do note the low floor accessible design, and also look, what I hadn't noticed before, there's even 1 or 2 PowerPoints. The in-train screen also hails a tap-on, tap-off type service too. So, maybe I should explain how all this works for me, but first, let's have a look at leg 3. After just one stop, the train will cut through the mountain in the Vergondola Tunnel, which is 2,672 metres long, and was completed as part of the modernisation of the line at the start of the 1960s. We'll then pop out to follow the Trento Nozze all the way up its imposing valley, calling at towns, villages and ski resorts all the way along until we arrive at the modern and very beautiful station of Mezzana. We get another quick look at the lake before we plunge into the tunnel. At Mostizzolo we meet a sister train, and whilst you enjoy these amazing views, I really must tell you what I paid for this journey. Well, when you stay at most accommodation in Trentino, you are given a code to enable the Mio Trentino app, and that provides you free, yes, free access to all buses and trains operated by the region of Trentino for the duration of your stay. And as this narrow gauge railway is run by the region and not by Trenitalia, that means all my journey today is covered by the app. Honestly, this is the best free tourist pass I've yet to find, as the region of Trentino covers such a vast area. Anyway, whilst I was waxing lyrical about my free ticket, we've also passed one of the older trains that still run on this line. These date from the mid-1990s and are designated E86ET. And from what I've read, there's currently 4 units still working the line. Okay, I'm going to stay quiet now and just let this scenery do all the talking. I'll see you at Mezzana. So that's the run from Trento to Mezzana. A gem at any price, but when it's completely free, it has to be maybe the bargain of the year on this channel at least. If you've enjoyed watching this ride, then maybe you'd like the idea of early access to videos and bonus content and posts too. If so, why not become a member and join the list of people scrolling by at the bottom of the screen? For now, from Mezzana, I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching along. And please do ride this line if you are ever in the area. It deserves to be so much better known.